So what we're going over today is what is the most important punch in boxing or in combat sports in general, and that is the jab. Good job. Now, the jab is going to be your front hand, your lead hand, and what that's going to do, there you go, perfect. That lead hand, it goes straight out, straight back. Now that jab and every punch with that is going to start and end at the chin. So he starts and ends at the chin. Now, if you notice, the elbow is at the body. Go back up a little bit, JJ. There you go. His elbow is at his body. It's not outside. Okay, yeah, his elbow's not outside. If you look, that's true boxing stance. Hands up, elbows in, knees bent, and then the chin down. From there, he can block a punch or throw a punch. He's good to go from there. Now, once again, so that elbow's into the body, straight out, and then straight back. And if you notice, the elbow starts and stops in the same spot, and the glove starts and stops at the same spot. It starts at the face and comes back to the face. One reason is because that lead hand, so he can block his face if another punch comes back. Or B, well, that's the most important, so you didn't get socked in the face. B, the second is so you can throw another punch, whether it's a straight, a hook, or whatever you want to throw from there. But in and of itself, that jab, that lead hand, it starts here, elbows in tight, straight out, straight back. Now, when you throw a jab, every time you throw a jab, you want to throw it with bad intentions. If I throw a slow or a weak jab, if you throw a slow or weak jab, or if JJ throws a slow or weak jab, I'm not going to respect it. You're not going to respect it. Somebody's going to step in on that and just start answering back. Now, we're going to go over a couple of the reasons why it's the most important punch today. Now, because JJ and I are boxing, or if we're sparring, actually, let's switch this. If we're boxing or sparring, my reach is longer than JJ's. So he's got to use this. Now, here's where one of the things, it's a measuring tape, okay? It's a ruler. So if he puts his jab out, okay, if I put mine out and you put his out, I'll be able to touch JJ before he does me. So he's got to use that jab as a measuring tape, a ruler, okay? So, and that's range, okay? He's got to find out what range he needs to be to punch me. So because my arms are longer, he has to get inside of my reach to be able to start effectively punching me. Because if he stays outside, he's just going to end up getting punched in the face or the body, eating leather, or vice versa. If his arms were longer than mine, then I'd have to figure a way out to get inside. So with this, because my arms are longer, JJ needs to either be really close to me to where my punches aren't as effective, but his are, or outside of my range. And how he's going to figure that out is he's going to use that jab. So he's going to throw that jab, boom. So he knows where he needs to be, okay? I can still touch him from here, but if you notice, he's continually throwing that jab, okay? That's one of the things. So the first, or today, right now, the first thing is the measuring tape, the ruler, okay? So he knows he's gonna use that to see where he needs to either start setting up his combination or slip my punch if I throw it. There's a lot of variations, which we'll cover combos in another video, but in and of itself. So that's the first thing, is a ruler, okay? So he's gonna throw that to know what distance he needs to be, what range, okay? There's 4 ranges in boxing. The real close, here is a trapping range, elbows, knees, headbutts. Here's a punching range. JJ can punch me, I can punch him. There's a kicking range. JJ can kick me, I can kick him. And then the 4th one is out of range. I can't punch or kick him, he can't punch or kick me. So those are the 4 ranges. Trapping range is number 1, punching range is number 2, kicking range is number 3, and then out of range is number 4. Those are the 4 ranges. So either JJ wants to be in the first range, which is trapping. He's inside now. Yeah, he can headbutt, he can elbow, he can put a lot of things. And if we're just straight boxing, then he's got his angle punches. He can go uppercuts, he can go hooks, all that kind of stuff. He can do that shovel hook to the liver right there and take me out. That's one advantage that you'll have if you have shorter limbs than your opponent. Like same thing with Mike Tyson. Before he started really making a name for himself, once he started turning pro, the quote unquote, the know-it-alls, the professionals in the business, whatever you want to say, they said that Mike was going to get smoked. He was going to get beat up because the big guys were just too big for him. And then Mike obviously proved everybody wrong. He would get inside, just like JJ did, does, and then start answering to the body, just start dishing it out to the body. And then once he's inside, it's hard for me to deal with it. In boxing, it's very hard. I have to like try to get away or something, and God forbid, if my elbow's up a little bit, Mike would get under the body, under the elbow to the body, and just, then when those hands came down, he would stick it to the face, but that's another story. So just because your opponent has longer arms than you doesn't mean that it's a deficit, okay? It's usually beneficial to have that. So here we go. So JJ's found out his range now. So he needs to either be in the #1 range, which is trapping, so he gets in. So now I'm gonna either get headbutts, elbows, knees, or he's gonna start working those angle punches to my body. Boom, boom, boom. So good for him. That's the first one. Now, if he can't get in right now, he's gonna wanna stay out of range, 4th range. Just out of, if we're boxing, then he can stay in kicking range, because obviously I can't kick him if we're just doing a boxing match. But if it's an MMA, he's gotta stay out of range. He's gotta figure this out until, say for example, I throw something, he can slip it, and then he can get in on me, okay? But for him to effectively put a beating on me, he's gotta be inside of my punching range, okay? Now, when you're throwing, when JJ's throwing, when I'm throwing multiple jabs at the same time, like in a combo, you wanna jab, bring that hand back halfway and jab again. You have to make it go like a jackhammer. I don't know if you've seen those guys working on the side of the street, but the jackhammers, those punches don't stop. So if JJ's doing, yeah, just like that. That was perfect. Okay, that's very hard for me. I got to figure that out and try to get around it and this and that. And God forbid, as he's doing that, if I take my head to the wrong side, yeah, I'm gonna, especially on a southpaw, I'm gonna eat that straight left, and that happens all the time. It's very difficult to figure out a southpaw fighter. That's another video we'll put together. But in and of itself, if you notice, JJ's always got that jab going in my face. That thing's always going, okay? So I have to question myself. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna try to set this combination up or work an angle, I know he's gonna throw that jab all the time. Now, this backs us up again. If he's throwing with bad intentions on that thing and I mess up, I'm for sure he's gonna end up busting my nose up. Or there's like Kovalev, he's really good about knocking people out with that jab. So if you come with a really stiff jab, like a hard jab, you can knock somebody out just with that, because one, they're not expecting it, and that's the punch that gets you, is the punch you don't expect or the punch you don't see. So if you're just thinking this guy's gonna throw a light jab, bang, you snap it, you have another thing coming. Or even if you don't knock him out and like you bust his nose up a little bit, and then I'm like, oh goodness, I need to readjust myself. And then he comes and he cracks me here, boom, doesn't knock me out, but kind of makes me feel it. I'm like, oh, now what I'm gonna do? Then he comes with that left hand, boom, you know, like that's a power shot. Then I'm probably gonna end up getting knocked out for that. So he just sets it up, boom, bust my nose and bang, drops that hammer. So now let's work this one. So when he's making angles, and JJ's never in front of me, he's never standing directly in front of me. You notice when he's throwing that jab, he's been doing it from the beginning, he's always working angles. That's one thing. If you have, well, even if you don't have the shorter limbs, you never want to stand directly in front of somebody. You always want to be angled off, okay? There you go. He's always moving and always punching. Here's one thing that fighters do. Either they punch or they move. But how JJ does, if you can punch and move, that puts me 2 steps behind, okay? So he's punching and moving. I'm like, God dang it, I'm trying to figure this guy out where I need to be. And then when I stop for a second, now he's made the angle, boom. He can punch me, but I can't punch him. And that's a knockout punch right there. That's where it goes. Takes us back to Mike Tyson. He make that angle, because boxing is combat sports, but boxing is punch and not get punched. So what you want to do, as JJ's setting those jabs up, he's moving. Now you want to be offensive, you want to be at the shoulder or behind the shoulder. So I can't punch him anymore. Boom, he's got me whatever punch he's gonna throw set up. And what set that up is his jab, the most important punch in boxing. And it's also, now here we go back to this, it's also the most used punch. If you notice, JJ's just rapidly throwing that punch, okay? He's just going, not stopping with that thing, okay? Now, once he gets there, boom. So I'm dealing with him moving and punching. I'm not exactly sure where he's going, but all I know is I got this glove in my face the whole time. I'm like, how the heck am I going to get this guy to slow down? So it's very frustrating to have somebody with a good jab, an effective jab, to deal with that. Now, we'll go over this. One of the best drills you can do, can I borrow your JJ? I'm going to talk and walk at the same time. One of the best drills you can do for a jab is find a wall. It can be any wall. Preferably kind of smooth, if not. And JJ doesn't know we're doing this, but I'm going to show you real quick. So, real quick, JJ's going to line up. Oh shoot, we got to go this side. Line up in his true boxing stance. He's southpaw. I'm just tripping there. Now, if you notice, obviously it's a flat wall. So he's in his boxing stance. Now, not yet, but as JJ steps forward, he's going to jab. So that his lead hand has to stay on that wall as he comes. Boom, Boom. So he's punching and he's stepping at the same time. Now that punch is going straight out. And that's what a jab is. Good job. Now do it backwards, please. That elbow's not coming up at all. It's always stuck to the body, right in front of the ribs, okay? Boom. So that's so good. Now here, if you telegraph off a jab or any punch, but if JJ were to come like this and then throw that jab, he's by not even verbally, but just by visually, he's telling me if I pick that elbow up first and then throw it, I know that punch is coming. If I pick this up, you know that punch is coming. If I pick this elbow up, you know that punch is coming. But from here, it's much harder to see, okay? So from your true boxing stance, you're really bladed. You're not like a peekaboo style like Mike Tyson to where you're like straight front. Okay, you're bladed, you're as thin as you can, so that punch comes straight out, straight back. So you really don't know what's coming. You can crack them with a jab, an uppercut, or they're a hook. You have to be suspect of what's coming. But now if you keep doing this drill, JJ, you mind doing it one more time, up and back? So now if you notice, that elbow's staying down tight. He's not picking that elbow up, one, because he can't. And that's why we use the wall for this drill, okay? And then back, back. If somebody jumps on you, and they have real fast hands, they jump, you need to use that jab, but you can't just back up with nothing going on. You're gonna have to use that jab, because ideally you don't wanna back up in a straight line anyway, but sometimes they'll jump on you kind of quick and you're like, whoa, but then you can work your angle and get off of that, because it's the angle that's going to effectively set you up for other combinations you can throw on your opponent. So in and of itself, that's why we use the wall drill right here, because again, it can be any wall, okay? I mean, if it's rough or whatever, but you get the idea. Anyone in your house, in your gym. And my coach, Jesse Reed, made me do this forever. Just jab and jab and jab and jab. Even if you don't have a long wall to step with, how JJ just did, you can sit here and just like so, you can do it forever. You don't necessarily need to step with it. Yeah, just like that, okay? So don't think you need like a 30-foot wall to run this. And you can do it with a boxing glove or without a boxing glove. So in and of itself, this is just a few of the topics we're coming up with the jab. I've got a ton more. I'm gonna make more videos. And if you have questions or comments about this video or about combinations or punches, by all means, please let us know, because JJ's on board and we've been turning out some good videos. So, but matter of fact, he's got his first fight next month. So we'll keep posting these and some of his training, and then we'll show you the fight and afterwards. So we can show you like all these drills and techniques, how they actually work in a fight. So, but until then, for right now, if you didn't know,
now you know.